Picture this, you're waiting 3 hours in line, not for concert tickets, for gasoline. The president just resigned on live television. Your savings are evaporating, and the nightly news is counting bodies from a war no one understands. Welcome to the 1970s, the decade that didn't just change America, it broke it open, and what came out still defines us today. January 1st, 1970, Americans woke up to a country that felt wrong. For the first time in modern history, parents believed their kids would have it worse than they did. But here's what history books miss. This wasn't decay. This was transformation. Every single night, at 6 p.m., families sat down to dinner, and Walter Cronkite told them how many Americans died that day. The Vietnam War was the first war Americans watched in real time. Body bags on TV, protesters in the streets, a government saying trust us while the death count climbed. May 4th, 1970, National Guard troops opened fire on college students for dead, not wounded. The message? Dissent was dangerous. Then came the scandal that changed everything. June 17, 1972, 5 men break into Democratic headquarters. The trail led straight to the White House. For 2 years, Americans watched their president lie, directly, on camera. I am not a crook. He was. August 8, 1974, Nixon resigned. But here's what haunts us. The tapes revealed a system where power protected itself, and truth was negotiable. Trust in government collapsed from 77% to 36% in a decade. That's not a dip. That's a free fall. Now imagine this. Your $20 bought a week of groceries last month. This month, 3 days. Next month, maybe 2. Welcome to stagflation, the impossible. High inflation and high unemployment simultaneous. Lie. 1973, OPEC turned off the tap. Oil prices quadrupled overnight. Gas stations ran dry. Lines stretched for miles. People woke at 4 a.m. just to wait. Fights broke out. Odd even rationing became law. You could only buy gas based on your license plate number. I worked 2 jobs and still couldn't keep up. It felt like drowning in slow motion. The middle class learned you could do everything right and still fall behind. America discovered it wasn't invincible. 1975. New York City went bankrupt. The Daily News headline said it all. Ford City dropped dead. Crime exploded. Times Square became a red light district. Detroit, Cleveland, Philadelphia. American cities became symbols of everything people feared. Graffiti wasn't art, it was territory markers. Subways weren't transportation, they were steel boxes where anything could happen. And this fear didn't just change behavior, it changed politics. Law and order became code. Suburbs became escape routes. The urban crisis literally reshaped where Americans lived and voted for the next 50 years. But in the middle of chaos, America got funky. The 1970s produced revolutionary music. Funk gave voice to Black Power, James Brown, Parliament Funkadelic. Rock went epic, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd capturing spiritual exhaustion. Disco created Escape Studio 50 for where anyone could feel alive. And punk said, burn it all down. The Ramones, the Sex Pistols, raw, angry, honest. This wasn't entertainment. This was America processing trauma through speakers. Every song was a survival strategy. Here's something wild. In the 1970s, if you wanted to talk to someone, you had to find them. No texts, no tracking. You called their house. Not home. Try later. TV had 3 channels. At midnight, static. Kids left in the morning. Came back at dinner. No GPS. No check-ins. Connection required effort. Privacy was default. The 70s were the last decade before screens mediated everything. That's not nostalgia, it's just fundamentally different. By 1979, something had fundamentally changed. America entered the 70s believing in institutions. It left believing in what, exactly. People learned to question authority but became cynical. They fought for rights but divided into tribes. They demanded transparency but lost shared truth. The 1970s didn't solve America's problems. It revealed them. And that set the stage for everything next. The Reagan Revolution, culture wars, political polarization we're still living through. The 70s were the hinge when America stopped believing its own story and had to write a new one. We're still figuring out what that story is. So why does this matter? Because the 1970s aren't over. Every political scandal, people didn't trust institutions. Every gas price spike, every economic squeeze. You're living in the echoes. The 70s taught America brutal lessons. Progress isn't guaranteed. Prosperity isn't permanent. Trust doesn't just heal, but that decade also proved Americans could survive anything: economic collapse, political betrayal, cultural upheaval, and still get up the next morning. The 1970s were messy, uncomfortable, and honest, just like now. So here's my question. What lesson from the 1970s do we need most right now? Drop your answer below. I read everyone. If this changed how you see that decade, subscribe, because history isn't what happened. It's what keeps happening.